Here we go. So we just started our recording. We're in for a treat. We're going to get some pearls of wisdom from a former boxer. How is that going to work out? Existentialist survival guide right here. I think I'm going to do the sixth caller or texter. Sixth caller or texter. So here we go. It's time to dance, Gordon.
Let's go. Come on.
Let's do
ready.
it. Time to box with me. Ready to box?
Yeah. Come on. Put your elbows in if you're going to box. Don't put your arms out like that.
Okay. Okay.
Come on.
I'm just still focusing on the word existentialism.
This is the place you can always turn to.
Okay, here you go. Do you hear the music?
Yeah.
Okay. Remember, you're not going to always hear the music.
I know.
Here we go. Here we go.
Let's go.
Here's Lillian McDermott.
Hello, my listening friend. It's so nice we can meet each other on the air on this beautiful, best day ever. And for those of you who have been listening to the show for 7 years, thank you. And for those of you who have just stumbled upon my show, which is the introduction, I just stumbled upon your show. Well, this is what the show is about. I am committed to provide alternative ways to heal, and it is my mission to make awareness, responsibility, and truth a part of our everyday life. And I hope you, my listening, as well as my viewing friends, will feel empowered to learn a new truth and embrace the life of your dreams. Now, today, we're giving away a book, so I want you to remember this number, 407-373-5959, because the seventh caller or texter will win a new copy, a copy of the Existentialist Survival Guide. And when I say existentialist, I'm going to mumble it because it just doesn't flow from my mouth the way it does. But I'm just going to give you a little idea of what the show is about. I have mentioned to you that I have made choices outside the box. And because of it, I've been ridiculed, judged, and probably excluded from certain events that make people feel uncomfortable that I'm not just like them. Does that sound familiar to you? Do you resonate with that? And as I reflect on these moments, I think, you know what? I am taking the bullets so that somebody else who wants to take this journey, that has been taking this journey with me, doesn't have to take the bullets. So if it meant taking the bullets to live an authentic life in an inauthentic world, which is what this book is about. It's called How to Live Authentically in an Inauthentic Age. The book is called the Existentialist Survival Guide by Gordon Mariano. I told Gordon. Marino. And so I told him, I said from the beginning, I'm just going to apologize right here because I have it just doesn't flow. So we have Gordon Marino, and we are going to talk about how to live an authentic life. And since it is our sole purpose in life to give and receive love and knowledge, I am so grateful that Gordon Marino is here to do just that. Welcome, Gordon, to the Lillian McDermott radio show.
Thanks, Lily. It's an honor to be on. I'm looking forward to a good conversation with you.
Oh, we are going to do that. Not only that, we're going to do a little bit of sparring. You're a former boxer. Share a little bit about your background and what led you to this wisdom that you currently possess.
Well, as I described in the book, I went through some very, very hard times in my early 20s and picked up Kierkegaard, who's an existentialist. And I'll bet you'll have trouble pronouncing Kierkegaard. Søren Kierkegaard is the father of existentialism. And he helped me get through those times with therapy, too, at the same time. Mm-hmm. But he's an existentialist. And so I'm about 65 now, and I decided after all these years of walking with these people who have made such a difference in my life, I try to distill some of their main ideas in combination with a memoir of stories that illustrate what they're talking about. So I think the examples are very important. They bring to life the insights of these thinkers.
Very good. And so the book is called How to Live Authentically in an Inauthentic Age. It's the Existentialist Survival Guide. You're going to laugh at me every time I say it. So it's by Gordon Mariano. And
Mason
be
Mariano again, Marino.
Marino, why am I telling what? Okay,
I
I
don't know.
think I've
He's a
known you in a
picture
former
Marino.
life, and you were somebody else. Okay,
Yeah.
so Gordon Marino, and Gordon Marino's PhD.
Like Dan Marino.
Yes, yes. I don't know. I think it's been like a discombobulated start for me. But here we go. Be the seventh caller or texter. 407-373-5959. So you wrote this book. This is your memoirs, and you started. Let's talk about the boxing in your life. Let's share a little bit about your background and how that started for you.
What, boxing?
Yes.
Oh yeah. Well, there were a lot of slaps flying around in my home and violence in my neighborhood. So, and my grandfather was a boxer, so it seemed like a good idea to learn how to defend yourself. So, and also to deal with a lot of that. My parents were fighting a lot, and it's helpful dealing with anger and fear.
Yes.
That's what I talk about boxing as a. We need workshop. One of the big main points in my books is that in order to be a good human being, we need to be able to deal with difficult emotions. We need practice with them, supervised practice. And boxing is a great workshop for that kind of supervised practice. That's why I've been training fighters for 30 years.
And as you look at this, the anger and the emotions that you have, one of the things that we talk about on the show is that many people want to treat the body, but they very rarely want to look at the internal traumas, the emotional aspect of healing. And so today we're going to be talking about this with Gordon, and we are going to be giving away his book called The Existentialist Survival Guide by Gordon Marino, and be the seventh caller, 407-373-5959. And we're going to continue our conversation with Gordon when we return worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. We'll be right here waiting for you. Okay, so this is the point where we're off the air and we get to have this conversation. For what people don't know is that I was stuck in traffic this morning as I was coming into the studio. I normally do my show from my home office. So it just like everything was like thrown through a loop. My show wasn't in my script wasn't on there. So Gordon, I really appreciate it. And I apologize for some reason. I keep calling you that, but it's Marino. I know it's Marino. I've got everything. The what?
Mariano Rivera was a famous pitcher.
Okay, so maybe that's why I'm thinking. You look like a famous pitcher. Okay, so, you, and I'm going to talk about this on the air because I want to talk about, in your book, you have a progression. You have anxiety, depression and despair, death, authenticity, faith, morality, love. So I want to talk about these topics, and I want you to be able to share a little bit about your new truth, how that awareness came about, so that people know a little bit about why they would want your book. Why is your book different than any other book that is out there? Let's start with existentialism. Let's start with that so that people join you in your journey, because it sounds like to me that someone who has so much anger, that use that anger as fuel as opposed to poison, is so important to get people to buy into. Does that make sense?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. So where am I calling you? You said this is really early for you in the morning.
Minnesota.
I was just there, by the way.
Oh, yeah?
Yes, I was just there. I think Chuck is your publicist, right? Your PR person.
Yeah.
So I almost wrote to Chuck and said, I'm going to be in Minnesota. I was in Janesville, Minnesota. You know where that is? Or maybe Janesville?
Janesville, no, that's Wisconsin. Janesville's Wisconsin.
No, then it's not. It was Minnesota. I flew into St. Paul.
Yeah,
and I sang. So I was going to reach out to you while I was up there, but it was like my time was like so compact. I was there. I flew in on a Friday and I flew out on a Sunday. And Saturday I sang at my my dear friend Julie's mother's memorial service. So it was just like boom, boom, boom. And so I didn't reach out to you, but I'm
from the Jersey Shore, New Jersey Shore. I'm not from Minnesota. God punished me by sending me out here.
It's beautiful, though. You can come down to Florida when it gets a little cold. Okay, here we go.
I was at the University of Florida teaching.
I know. I saw that. Okay, here we go. You hear the
407-373-5959. Once again, here's Lillian.
Welcome back to the Lillian McDermott radio show, where we always learn and grow with one another. And today I'm boxing. My boxing partner is Gordon Marino, PhD. And he wrote a book about how to live authentically in an inauthentic age, the Existentialist Survival Guide. And ever since I picked up this book, I was like, okay, existentialist. Okay, let's talk about it's not a difficult word, but for me, it just doesn't flow very well.
Relax about the idea. I think maybe your viewers would like to know a little bit about who the existentialists are.
Yes, let's talk about that.
A very motley crew of thinkers that don't share any one belief, but have similar themes. So the themes that they're interested in are choice, the freedom, the individual, kind of limits of reason, the meaning of life, asking questions about the meaning. And it includes thinkers such as Kierkegaard, Dostoevsky, Tolstoy, Simone de Beauvoir, and only two people really identified themselves as existentialists. That was Jean-Paul Sartre and his lover Simone de Beauvoir. So, but there's some are atheists, some are believers. So it's a very motley crew of people.
Yes. So you resonated with these people, as you had said at the beginning, and I had mentioned to you during the break. And by the way, we have on the air and off the air conversations on the Lillian McDermott radio show. So you can go to whenyouneedafriend.com and check out the YouTube video to catch out the background information that we talk about when we're off the air. So you had mentioned at the beginning that and in the book, you describe your past. And many can say you could have anger and you have every right to feel what you feel, but you've gone beyond that. You used your experience and what I call the fourth stage of gratitude or responsible living, which is giving back to the world what you have learned. And so that's so important to use that. You could use the anger as poison, or you can use your anger as a vessel to fuel your energy, to learn the opposite, to love. And so let's talk about your background. And at what point did you say, okay, this isn't working for me, I need to do something different?
Well, as I described in the book, it was after a breakup in my first marriage, and I was in a very, very bad state, very depressed. I had tendencies towards that to begin with. Suicidal, drinking, doing drugs, and ended up in a hospital. And so that was but I encountered Kierkegaard one day in a bookstore. I was a graduate student in philosophy at the same time, and I dropped out though. And he helped me think of suffering, that kind of psychic suffering, as an activity, not a passive something. Because when you feel that way, you feel like you have a stench. You feel like you just feel like a leper, really, when you feel that bad. And he helped me believe that suffering is an activity you can do with dignity or not. And so that was very helpful. But it wasn't like some epiphany or some great one insight. That's not how I think. That's not how growth takes place. I think it took a long period of time, and I still work with. I still deal with the funk.
Isn't it interesting? We think that we've solved something and then it's done. It's no different than breathing, Gordon. To me, breathing is so important in life. And we think that if we breathe once, we're okay and we don't have to do it again. No, this is a gradual process, dealing with life. And so you have taken this book, and the book is called The Existentialist Survival Guide by Gordon Marino, and PhD. And you've broken your life down in different categories. So your first category in chapter 1 is anxiety. Let's describe your anxiety for those for my listening friend, and for people who are watching. Let's talk about anxiety and how you've been able to work with that.
Well, I don't know. It's work with that. With the existentialists offer a different vocabulary and way of looking at it.
Okay.
Today it's all medication, right? Medication. My neurochemistry's off, or 6 steps to getting rid of your anxiety. These little life engineering methods that I take issue with, and so they offer a different way of thinking about it. But one of the issues is they have a more positive view of anxiety. That anxiety, to be a human being, is to experience anxiety. Anxiety is a sign that you're spirit, right? Of course, it can become pathological. But it's not a disease. It's a manifestation of our freedom. that we're free. We have anxiety because we're free. We have to make choices and be responsible for them.
Okay, say more. Say more about that. How did it affect your life? How did existentialism affect that thought of anxiety and how you've been able to manipulate it?
It's not manipulating. It's just that puts you in a different relationship. One of the insights I think in the book is that we can't control our moods and feelings, but we have a lot to say about how we relate to those moods and feelings.
Correct.
So and again, that's why I work with a lot of my work with boxers has to do with, okay, you're anxious before a fight. That's natural. Don't panic about it. Don't panic about feeling panicked. So learn how to sit with difficult emotions is part of what this book's about.
Yes.
Right.
Well, that's okay. Learning how to sit with is something that people and what I deal with as a life coach, people don't want to do. They just want to fix their body. They want to say, okay, I want to take a pill. So my registered service mark, Gordon, is you can take a pill, you can take responsibility. It's not that I'm against the pill. I am for doing everything we possibly can. But sitting with something is something that people don't care to do. They want to talk about their pain. They want to talk.
Who wants to sit with that? It's painful. It's scary. It's terrifying.
That's right. So let's talk about how you were able to do this and how you were able to transfer this. I know you write it in the book, but let's bring it into bite sizes because today modern medicine pays for modern medicine. Instead, you say, okay, I'm anxious. That's a symptom. Your body is speaking to you. Absolutely. I agree 100%. But here's the thing. We call a symptom a disease. Anxiety, a disease. And so now here's a pill for anxiety, and here's a pill for depression, and here's a pill. But let's talk about that sitting with. I want to funnel that energy so that people can say, wow, here I am taking medication for anxiety, but I need to sit with what?
Well, you not only need to sit with it, you need to also reflect on it. Where's it coming from? Like the other day, I was walking up the stairs going to teach a seminar, and there was an article I had was being considered, and I was very nervous all of a sudden, like, is the article going to get published? Like, who cares? Like, at my stage, it doesn't really make, and then I said to myself, man, what is it about you that you're so insecure? You need more and more of these merit badges now still? What is it? And then I tried to ask myself in a tender way, so here was this anxiety, some self-reflection about what it's about, and then go on. And in our society, there's an antipathy towards self-reflection from the top down.
Sure.
Okay.
Well, if you reflect too much, then you might not need that pill.
Well, that's true too. Yeah, but it's painful. It's really and oftentimes we need help in self-reflection. So a big part of it, I was able to survive some of my worst impulses because of a therapist who's been. When I was 19 or 20, helped me, and I've been talking to her I wrote a piece in the New York Times about her called The Long Conversation, 45 years talking to her. She treated me for free when I didn't have any money. And so I emphasize a lot relationships. Relationships are so important. And we want the quick fix, and relationships involve vulnerability.
Yes.
Vulnerability, and the quick fixes in life don't, and we don't want it to be vulnerable. So a lot of this book, Existentialism, is all about the individual, but I'm also all about relationships.
Very good. Very good. So when you were talking about, the long conversation that you've had for 45 years.
Yeah. Beatrice Beaton.
That's really good. So when you talk about existentialism, let's talk about, you have mentioned okay, this is how we believe and this is what we do and this is what we think, but you talked about who were the existentialists, but what is existentialism? Let's talk about the meaning of it. How does it attach and how does it affect my life?
Okay, again, the meaning, it's a label that's put on a lot of thinkers with very diverse views. What unites them are themes, right? And the themes, again, are freedom, choice, the individual. They deal with moods in a way and feelings that other philosophers haven't. Some of them are writers or just authors like Dostoevsky, others playwrights, Ionesco, others philosophers. So again, it's a very diverse group of people that don't share any particular one belief. So it's hard to lump them together.
Yeah, but
what do like if you said what do the existentialists? Please boil it down into a paragraph. What the existentialists? I couldn't do that. That's you can't do that.
So it's having a different thought.
No, it's not. No, they have different ideas about different things, but they emphasize. Okay, you want an example? We have time.
Yes,
for
yes, we do.
So my man Søren Kierkegaard, he one point in his book, he takes about 2 pages to describe all these objective facts about death, right? So, if you drink poison, you're going to die. The hero dies in the 5th act. About 2 pages of just cold facts about death, right?
Mm-hmm.
All those facts don't tell me what it means to me that I'm going to die. So
Yes.
the difference between objective facts versus what it means that I'm going to die, or what it means that I exist, right? So there's this first-person perspective, this inside-out perspective that the existentialists take, and that I found very. So you can have all these theories, but you need to know what those theories mean to you, right? So this idea of something we don't talk about a lot, of really appropriating our true ideas. It's not a matter of getting more knowledge; it's a matter of getting into a new relationship with knowledge. Like, I can have all kinds of theories about love, but if I don't passionately engage those ideas, it's just chatter. Okay?
Got it. Okay, so as you are going through life, you're experiencing your life pattern. You're saying this is difficult. You talk about pain and how difficult pain is, and people don't want to sit with our anxiety or depression or our past because of pain. But pain, the other side of pain is peace. How did you work your way through the pain to that other side of peace?
I'm not on the other side. I deal with pain all the time. I don't have any peace. I have very little peace. I'm always like agitated. And I don't have that much peace. I mean, no. Yeah. So it's not like I got through this period and now I'm fine by any means. I'm still messed up.
That's the reason to buy the book. Okay, 407-373-5959. I'll get you a copy of How to Live Authentically in an Inauthentic Age, The Existentialist Survival Guide by Gordon Marino. And so why did you write this book?
I wrote the book because I thought it was time to try to distill some of the insights on these very important topics. Whether or not you're a good person has, again, as I said before, has a lot to do with how you're going to deal with the pain in life. And I described, and I think these thinkers these authors have a great deal to say about these issues that are quite unique. Okay, for example, in the chapter on love, I talk a lot about we always think we want love and all this kind of thing and desire to be loved, but we don't really, not many of us really want to be loved for who we are in our totality. That real true intimacy, really to be loved by someone who really knows you is an amazing, it's a blessing. It's a divine. Mm-hmm. It's amazing. As opposed to being loved for, I'm an author or I'm an athlete, you know what I mean? And, I remember talking with a friend whose wife had died and they had a very difficult relationship. And he said, she knew me and I called her up and I said, how do you feel? And he said, she knew me and she loved me. She really knew who he was. And that's a very powerful thing in life.
Okay, and we're going to continue our conversation. Be the 7th caller or texter, 407-373-5959. That's existential. So hard to say it. Gosh, why did you write a book so well? Yes, I know. And we're going to continue our conversation when we return worldwide at whenyounneedafriend.com. We'll be right here waiting for you. Existentialism.
You nailed it like 10 times in a row, and I knew it was coming.
You manifested that, Gordon.
Oh, did I?
You did.
My fault, huh? Take responsibility. Take responsibility.
Hey! I don't want to take responsibility. Let everybody else take. No, I play with you. I'm just playing with you. Yes, it just doesn't flow in my mouth the way.
I know. You keep telling yourself it's not going to do that. Existentialism.
Existential. I can say it. But when you say it fast,
can you say existential threat? It was an existential threat.
Existential threat.
Yeah, you've heard that.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah. So existential threat. And so existential threat. So, okay. So you're saying that, okay, you're still dealing with a lot of issues. You're still going through your own personal traumas and pain and all of that. So why write a book about it? I mean, if you're like, when you see an author that has written a book and they're sharing like their journey, or this is a self-help book, you get to the end of it and say, you know what? I've got something to share, because that pain that I refused to go through, look at how it blessed me. Look at how it blessed me. So when I say go through, that's what I mean. You get to that place of acceptance, that you embrace what is and don't try to change it.
Okay, but okay, now we said we're gonna do a little spar, remember? Yeah. I don't see it as pain you go through and you're over with it and you look back and tell everybody, here's the 5 steps to how I got through my pain. That's not what this book is about. It's not like that.
I know, but
Let me finish.
Yeah.
So it's not a matter of getting through to the other side, man. There's gonna be more pain in life. There's going to be a lot more bad things. So it's a matter of learning how to live with them, how to be able to love through those times, to be able to care about other people, to be able to do it.
But there is a technique. There is a technique. Yes, there is. You can say no, but there is. Like when you first started learning how to box, right? You had a technique. It wasn't something that you just like started swinging.
I didn't go like that, like you're doing it. You're doing it all wrong. Elbow in.
I will tell you that I am not a boxer. So if you were to train me, you would take me through the wax on, wax off. Wax on, it's an exercise. Pain is an exercise in our life.
Yeah, that's true. That's probably true.
Okay, so
and
let's
we have to think of some different. We need to think of some different metaphors. I think of it as spiritual weightlifting. Okay, or sometimes I think of it as a boxer. Okay, you're in the ring with this now. How are you going to handle it? That's true, but I don't see it as something.
But here's the thing: there is technique. If you understand, it's like when you give, and let's have this conversation on the air, because I really do want people to want this book, because most people want answers. Most people want to know, I'm going to be okay.
Okay. Yeah, right. Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah. People want to know, I am going to be okay. If I go through the pain.
I'm not here to tell people what they want to hear. I'm here to tell them the truth.
And what is the truth, Gordon?
Well, yeah. So it is. People certainly can be okay, and we can heal. There's no doubt about that. But I don't see my book as a book on technique. Though. It's more an invocation of self-reflection, patience, love, those kinds of things. No, like, well, you do this. Here's an exercise for you to do in the morning on this, or
no. And I know your book is not about that. I know your book is not about that. But it's good to say what it is about, not what it's not about.
Well, it is. Yeah, I have no problem saying it's about some of the most important themes in our lives that are going to define our character, who we are. And the important thing and I think one of the things I stress in the book is we shouldn't think of life, we're so locked into thinking about life in terms of happiness, self-fulfillment.
Here we go. So this is where I talk about my website and how to get a hold of me, and then I'll reintroduce you. Okay, Gordon?
Okay, all right.
You can text Lillian McDermott or leave her a voicemail at 407.
How you feeling, Brian?
5959.
Did you take another one?
Once again.
Welcome back to the Lillian McDermott radio show, where you can hear us worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. I'm your host, Lillian McDermott, and today, it is always so important for me that whoever is in front of me, that they become a teacher. Teachers can teach you how to be and how not to be, and it all depends on your perspective. What do you want? And so what I want is for you to stop whatever you're doing and go to whenyouneedafriend.com, become a subscriber. And while you're there, make sure that you check out all my social media. Do it now, because if you say you're going to do it tomorrow or later, it's not going to happen. So just make sure you do it now. If you're driving, pull over to the side, or as soon as you park, then do it. That whenyouneedafriend.com is a place where we take 100% responsibility for our life. Take whatever is happening in your life, and that sitting down is so important. Of all the things that today's teacher is Gordon Marino, and Gordon Marino is the author of The Existentialist Survival Guide. I can say it slow. It's when I got 20 seconds left that my tongue traps around my teeth and it just doesn't flow as well. Be the 7th caller. This book is about how to live an authentic life in an inauthentic age. And so Gordon Marino has shared his memoirs, has shared his stories of important aspects of our lives. And so we're talking about a book that offers you an opportunity to self-reflect. And so be the 7th caller or texter, 407-373-5959. The first person to spell existentialist will get the book. How about that? So go to whenyouneedafriend.com. Please become a subscriber. While you're there, there are little buttons that you can click on and play. So click on the YouTube video button and subscribe there. Whenever you subscribe, the show and the video can be sent to you to your email, the email of choice that you have. And that way you can listen at your leisure, especially if you want to listen to the show over and over again. And then go to my social media and like me and all my social media. And also make sure that when you're there, you go to my sponsorships page. My sponsors, because of my sponsor, this show goes on. So please go there, check out my sponsors, and figure out ways that you can support them the way they are supporting me. I'm on podcast, so you can, if you love podcasts, you can find me at iTunes, Google Play Music, iHeartRadio, and even Spotify. And you can call 407-373-5959 and be the 7th caller or texter. You will win the book, The Existentialist Survival Guide. And, you know, there's so many, and thank you, Gordon, for waking up early and being part of the Lillian McDermott radio show. I do want to talk about why we need to sit and reflect. We talked about in the prior segment that we don't get to figure things out right away, or if you figure it out once, you're done. But it's a process. It's a process. And you and I have been sparring the entire time that you've been on the air. And yes. And so you've been even teaching me how to box right. You tell me I'm a horrible boxer. And so you said to me, you know, this is not how you're supposed to box. This is how you're supposed to box. Well, here's the thing. People want answers. We want to know, why do we want to pick up this book if we're not going to get answers? So why should we want your book if we're not going to get answers? And you said?
Well, life's not a math problem. You're going to get insights. They're really important insights in this book about life, but they're not like answers. There's no, you know, it's not like a math problem, right? Where you get some solution. Oh, now I know how to, now I've got anxieties, you know, taken care of. So it's not quite like that. And it's a call to, I say a call to self-reflection, to be honest with yourself, right?
There we go. That's it. That's what you master in this book. Self-reflection. And that's what people don't want to do. They want to take a pill to get their symptoms and mask their symptoms, but very rarely will they sit down with a journal and say, what am I to learn about, what is my body saying about anxiety? What is my body saying about my depression? Or what about, you talk about death in your book. Let's talk about death and what you learned by sitting down, and what could you share? What are your pearls that you've learned about death?
Well, one of the issues is being aware of your own mortality, what that means, and it makes you less careless in life. Like I talk about it, the fact that my brother and I, my brother was guardian angel, man, and we had a fight over my mother and didn't talk for 9 years, and he was as close to me as can be, and both vice versa. Now that's since changed, but there's 9 wasted years when we were at the equator of our lives, and if I had been more aware of my mortality, I would have made sure we.
Oh, did we lose him? No, I can't hear him. Okay. I can't hear you right now. I lost you.
Right now.
Okay. No. But when you were talking, I couldn't hear you. I'm sorry. Okay. So you said 9 wasted years. That was the last thing I heard.
Okay. So I had this fight with my brother, right? 9 years in the equator of our lives, where I had so much to share. I just had children. And I think a little more profound awareness of mortality, that at any moment you could be gone. You'd be less careless with relationships. More careless, more serious about the spiritual work we've got to do. You know, so it should wake us up. It creates a what Kierkegaard calls an awareness of death creates a time scarcity. It almost increases the value of the moment because you're aware it could be over at any moment. It could be over at any moment.
But isn't that the way we should live our life, period? We should know that at any moment that could be our final goodbye. You know, when I coach somebody, I always ask if they don't want to talk to somebody, I'm done. If those were your final words, if that person dies today, would you be okay with the way you left things? And some people can't go there, Gordon. Some people can't sit with that thought and say, wow, that really would stink. Some people would say, fine, I don't care, because they're so lost in their ego. How big is your ego at that point when you're saying, Gordon, I wasted, those 9 years? Did you feel, I don't care if I'd ever talk to him? What was more important, to be right? Was it more important to hold on to the grudge? Or do you find that those 9 years were not wasted at all, that it taught you a valuable lesson on love?
They weren't wasted. It was a terrible loss. Terrible loss of time that we both mourned together, my brother and I, asking ourselves how we could let that happen. So it was a loss. Yeah.
But you can use that. You can continue to say it was a loss, or you can say, gosh, we learned so much and how important family is. And how
it was both.
It's a different way. It's just a different way of looking.
It's okay to say, it's okay to say their losses in life, that things didn't go right.
Yes, it is.
No problem with that. And it's, and yes, and I think during that time, I figured, well, it'll work out someday. And time went on, years went on, and it didn't.
You made it happen. And that's the point. You made it happen. So you had said, well, I don't have a how to do, but in your stories, you share how important life is and how precious it is. And be the 7th caller or texter to win a copy of Gordon Marino's book, The Existentialist Survival Guide, and 407-373-5959. So yes, there are great lessons in this book. So let's talk about authenticity, because I had shared at the beginning of the show that for me to be authentic, I had to step out of the norm, step out of the box. What are the pearls that you have learned in your life that you can share with our listeners?
About authenticity?
Yes.
Well, I suggest there's two. We don't think about it enough these days, right? It's all about self-presentation and social media, right? There's a lot of how you present yourself. Oh, I'm on the beach. And then people write in, oh, I'm so jealous, and that kind of stuff, right? I mean, look how happy I am. So, yeah. I find a lot of it toxic, but to think more deeply about authenticity, there's basically two models. One says to be authentic is to kind of create yourself, right? To your true self, like you're an artwork, right? Mm-hmm. That's how someone like Nietzsche thought about it. Become yourself. He meant you create yourself. On the other hand, you have another view, say from Kierkegaard, for a true believer who said, no, God made you to be a certain way, a child of God. And if you miss that boat, you've missed becoming your real self. You miss becoming authentic. So two models. One says there's an inborn self. Another says it's all about self-creation, which we're much more into today. We like the idea of self-creation. Develop your talents, then you become authentic, all that stuff.
And how were you able to tie the two? How were you able to say, I am who I am?
I was thinking of Popeye used to say that.
I am who I am. We love the yams.
Okay, I'm sorry. No, I didn't tie them together. I believe what Kierkegaard said. I believe that God made us to be a certain kind of person, and that's what it is to be authentic, to become a true human being, someone like the Good Samaritan.
Very good. Yeah, and you are giving yourself the authority to be who you say you are. That is so important for those of you who are living, and I believe that that's the major cause people are anxious, depressed, and in despair, is because they've lost that connection of who they want to be, who they were created to be, and they want to maybe be a part of what the world wants for them. And we're going to continue our conversation with Gordon Marino. The book is called The Existentialist Survival Guide. Be the 7th caller or texter, 407-373-5959. And we'll continue our conversation when we return worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. We'll be right here waiting for you. So we talked about love already on the show. And so let's talk about morality and faith. So when I stay away from topics. I don't do sports. And I don't do religion. Oh, no, I mean, no, don't do religion. I don't do politics. So those are the two things I stay away from on my show. But everything else I'm open to, because everything else requires responsibility. There's a lot of other people that are doing responsibility for politics and responsibility for sports, and they're really much better of that than I am. But I'm about responsible living. And so when we're talking about faith and our authenticity, would you like to share how you've been able to kind of embrace faith?
Well, I think it's a choice there. I don't think there's any much proof that Jesus is up there looking down on us or whatever. So I see it as a collision with reason, with the understanding. So I see faith as more of a trust in God. Big question I think about faith is when you go through those periods of, it just seems ridiculous, which I talk about, or unbelief. How are you going to relate to your unbelief? So some people will get to that point, some bad things happen or whatever, and they say, I just don't believe this anymore. Or when you have those periods of unbelief, do you pray for belief? And so it's really a question of your relationship to your unbelief that I think the issue of faith comes up in. So something really bad happens, I feel like, where's God in all this? This is just craziness. And I could say, well, I'm done. I lost my faith as though it was taken away from me. No, you pushed it away. You decided you don't want it anymore, which is an authentic decision. But so I think faith is this relationship to our beliefs, not a belief all the time. It goes hand in hand with doubt. Faith and doubt go together.
So I like that relationship to belief.
Yeah. So here you are in a period of. Well, I talk about going in there to light a candle for my father. There's I'm raise the.
Well, don't share everything. Don't share everything. I want you to share some of that on the air because it's so important. As you wrote this book, and you finished it up, what were the feelings that you had as you completed the book?
I was happy. I felt it was honest. That was important to me, to try to be honestly portray. Not just in philosophy, a lot of times people just trot out ideas, summarize other thinkers and who got what idea from whom and that kind of thing. And that was one thing I didn't want to do in this book. I've done academic things before, and I was happy with it. I thought it was honest. Mm-hmm. I felt it was. I didn't feel I was faking it at all. So that was a good feeling.
That's good. And so, as we conclude, because this is our last segment, can you believe it? It's our last segment coming up, right, Brian?
Just having fun.
I know. We just got started having fun. So tell me, how is it that I hold my...
You got to keep your elbows in when you're boxing. You can't... If you bring them out, the person can see the punch coming. So if I bring my elbow out here when I go to punch, they can see the punch coming. So when you throw your left jab, are you right-handed?
Yes.
Okay. You throw your left jab, which is the most important punch. Got to keep your elbow in, just straight out. Bang.
I can't see your hands, so you need to show me. Okay.
So elbows in, pop, right there. Pop. But not, that's your right hand. That's it. So keep your elbows in. Bang. Good.
1, 2. Okay. See? I learned something new today. I learned how to box. Hey, Brian, come over here. Let me try it on you.
You got a little bit of practice. You got a little
Come here, Brian. Show your pretty face. Brian has such a pretty face.
On, Brian, show your pretty face, will you?
I'm going to bop him in the face right there. Oh.
Yeah, but your elbows are around.
Are we on? Okay, I've been sparring off the air. For those of you who want to hear our conversations with Gordon Marino, go to whenyouneedafriend.com and make sure you become a subscriber. Always subscribe. So today we're talking about the book, The Existentialist Survival Guide with Gordon Marino. And it's how to live authentically in an inauthentic age. And I think, when I picked up your book, Gordon, I thought, this is your judgment. This is your judgment. This is your perception. So I know that you said, well, I don't have any tips. I don't have any, but you're helping. You told me that off the air.
I don't have any.
Hey, listen, I just learned how to do a left jab. I learned how to do a left jab. I can do it off. Okay, well, so let's talk about that. You said, wait, so this is not a how-to book. I don't have tips. This is what you said. I think I can replay this back.
That part's right.
Yeah, okay.
So I didn't put the how-to part on that.
No, there's no. So let's talk about that. People are listening. We talked about faith off the air. And I loved your perspective of your relationship with faith, not
Okay.
necessarily faith. Let's talk about that.
Let me tell you just a story there. So
Mhm.
I'm having a really bad day, feeling really depressed. And for some reason, I decide I'm driving home and I pull in the Catholic Church. I go to light a candle for my father, and I get to the little chapel
Oh, I lost them again.
where the candles are. I move down to the stub. There's no more candles there. And I said, what the WTF, right? And it's part of me like, that's it with faith, So I'm pushed out the door angry. And I was taking note that faith, that it's really, so kind of feeling of losing my faith there. I said, no, it's when that happens, you have a choice of whether or not to pray, to try to hold on, trust in God, or let it go. That you don't lose our faith, we push it away. And that was an insight for me.
But you see, that's an insight for you. But in the book of John, it says that you can never be snapped. The book of John in the Bible.
Yeah.
Okay. It says that you can never, once you are a believer, you can never be snatched from the hands of God. But you can walk away. You can never be snatched. You can never be taken. But we can make the choice to walk away.
Right.
So that realization is scripturally based.
Yeah, but here, a lot of people, when they, so to speak, walk away, they say they lost their faith, like someone took it away from them. They were robbed of it, or like a set of keys they lost. I'm saying, no, it's a decision. It's neither or.
Yeah,
you're not disparaging the people who say no, but it's a decision.
I totally agree. And so you were talking about the relationship to your belief. But let's talk about people that believe a certain way, because you can believe and be passionate about your belief, but be 100% toxic about your belief.
Right.
So let's talk about holding on to that relationship.
Well, what's the question?
The question is, how have you, in your times in your life where you have shifted your belief because you knew that belief was toxic for you? So we're talking about relationship between you and your belief. Some people will rather die with that belief than share or see that there is another, like you said, it's a choice.
Well, capacity to tolerate cognitive dissonance. Most people can't tolerate that. They get locked in. That's probably your maybe ego there, right? And they're not going to change. They'll never admit they're wrong about it. And that's a lot of what's going on in our society. But we need to be able to tolerate cognitive dissonance, doubt, and especially be self-reflective. I've got to say, like, okay, it's really important to me to be a kind person. Oh man, but what I did today was not kind. And that wasn't right. So this ability to deal with, be honest with ourselves, requires ability to deal with some tension in the mind. And,
so now what? So you have awareness, you have self-awareness, you've done some self-reflection. Now what? How do you suggest, because basically when you're writing this book, for some people, you're giving them permission. You're saying, hey, listen, this is what I did. I was able to self-reflect. How about you? How do you self-reflect? So I'm asking you, in your self-reflection, when you realize, man, I was really unkind, how do you make it right? How do you take that ownership?
I say you should never talk to yourself in a way that you wouldn't talk to a friend. So when I screw up and say something, do something that I take to be egoistic or whatever, I sigh, feel a bit of sorrow, and I try not to torture myself about it. For those of us who are inclined towards depressive type of experience, there's a tendency to self-laceration, just whipping yourself and enjoying it in some perverse way. And so one of the things I have learned is, okay, you're a human being, that happens, that's you're insecure or whatever. Try not to do it again. So you want to talk to yourself in the way that you talk to a friend. And many people are very harsh on themselves, and to hear them talking to a friend, very nice.
Would you like to share a story that from self-reflection you were able to get to that acceptance and resolution? And you talked about your brother's story, and that was great, and how you were able to take those 9 years and try to make up for them at this point by coming together and realizing that the argument wasn't more important than the relationship. Yeah. So can you share another story that
it's a nasty one? It's one in the chapter on love. A couple of years ago, my son got married, and beautiful wedding, just magical. Everything's fine. The whole combined families go up north to the Lake Superior for a get together, and I was drinking a little too much. Started a big fight with my wife, and my son's going, "Dad, what are you doing, man? What are you doing?" And then the next morning he'd come over and say, "It's okay, Dad. Don't worry about it." And I said, "Get out of here! I don't need your forgiveness, you know." And about 10 minutes later, I said, "Thanks. I did need his forgiveness."
Yeah.
And but my impulse was to torture myself for the rest of my life about that, because I never thought I would do something like that. I had episodes in the past of doing crazy stuff, but I thought I was all over, and it wasn't. And obviously acted out in the ways that I'll never forget. It was a horrible experience.
So how do you resolve that within yourself? Because you said you're not gonna carry it for the rest of your life, but how do you help others that come to you? Let's say I come to you and say, "Hey, I really messed up, and I said some things that were horrible. I could never, yes, I was forgiven. But I'm still harboring it within me."
Because the self-torture is not authentic guilt. What you should do is you feel sorry. You say you feel guilt. You say you're sorry, and the biblical idea is you repent and change your ways. You got to do both.
Correct.
Resolve to change your ways. But not to sit around. The tendency sometimes is to, I'm just a terrible person, and then you lose all hope in yourself, right? Then you cop out and you go, "I can't change," and that kind of thing, right? We can change. One of the ideas in the book is we can make moral U-turns. We can become better people, and a lot of people don't want to think that, because that means it's going to doing things differently. Sometimes it's hard, but we can make moral U-turns. People have done it.
Yes, and I love that, moral U-turns. So how does a moral U-turn look like? So walk us through the steps. Moral U-turn. You gave us an example, but let's make it concrete.
What do you mean the steps? It's not like, okay,
there are steps. Use this step one. Okay.
Right.
Okay. Hey, listen, I learned how to do a left jab. Don't be messing with me, sir.
Oh, all right. Step one would be recognizing what you did, right?
Yes.
Step two would be feeling sorry about it.
Yeah.
Step three would be saying you're sorry. Step four would be resolving to change your ways. Step five, don't torture yourself about it endlessly. Right? Don't indulge in self-torture.
So how do you stay away from self-torturing yourself?
By reminding yourself you were human beings, that we have a past. I have a past where that stuff went on all the time in my house. It's not surprising it would creep up again. There's a lot of anger I have about certain things. And to remind yourself you're just a human being, and that's going to happen. We're flawed creatures and not perfect.
Very good. I love that. I love the pearls and wisdom. Thank you so much, Gordon Marino, PhD. For those of you who would like a copy of this book, seventh caller or texter, 407-373-5959, How to Live Authentically in an Inauthentic Age. The book is called The Existentialist Survival Guide. Thank you so much, Gordon. It has been a pleasure sparring with you today.
Good conversation. I really enjoyed
it. And for those of you, my listening friends, that feel that there are things that you need to sit with, it will help you. I promise you. You can spend a lot of money trying to take pills and trying to get better, but the reality is that emotional work is so crucial. Please remember, I'll be right here waiting for you worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. This is Lillian McDermott wishing you love, peace, joy, and unexpected abundance. Make it the best day ever. That's the best ever. Good job. Good job. Thank you so much. It was real. So, okay, so you go like this. And
no, but you're a righty, so your left shoulder's forward, and that's your jab.
I can't see you. I can't see you. I can't see you.
Your left hand is forward like this.
Okay.
Right? But your shoulder's gonna have to be back. You can't do it in a chair. Right? You jab. That's your jab. There you go. That's it. You keep the jab straight.
Come here, Brian. Let me try this on you.
And then your right hand.
Come back, baby.
What are you teaching
Put your hand like this.
Come here, Brian. Come here, Brian. For all the time you said you've never learned anything on my show. Here you go.
I get me knocked out.
I love him. He is such a cutie.
I can hear that. That's great.
Yeah,
so thanks. It was fun.
Thank you so much, and we'll talk soon. Ashley will send you all the information. And before we go, so I want to thank you.
Where are you? You're in Florida? You're in Cocoa Beach?
I'm in Florida. Well, I'm going to say goodbye for now to my listeners, and hold on a second. And so I look forward to our next conversation.